Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Violet Rayne.
Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm your host, Violet B. Rayne, my guest today, and it's already slipped. Devorah. Did I pronounce that right? Yes, I did it right. My brain was trying to turn it. She is a mixed media artist and transformational guide who has spent over 30 years using creativity as a pathway to inner wisdom. Originally from Vermont, now living in Oregon with her husband and youngest daughter, her life took an unexpected turn 16 years ago when protecting her children from sexual abuse led to complete estrangement from both families overnight. And so we're going to dive in and ask a little bit about all of that. But we're so glad that you're here. So, I think spirit sometimes takes us down some really difficult paths to lead us to where we need to be, to lead us to what we're supposed to be working on in this lifetime. And it definitely sounds like that's what happened to you. So share a little bit about your story that you'd like for us to know, how you got to what you do today.
Well, I had always been drawing and painting, so that wasn't new. And I had gallery representation and had several shows a year across the country. When that happened, I did not know how to live without my family, whom I loved. And it wasn't always roses. Like there were complicated relationships. I was definitely the odd one within my family structure, but I still love them. Of course, I love them, and I used art and mixed media as a way to address that feeling of grief and loss and, quite frankly, total devastation. I did not know what to do with myself, and I didn't know what to do with how I internalized those messages around excommunication. I felt so unbelievably unworthy, and every fear I'd ever had about my value had been what's the word? Like it had been come to fruition. Like I had to face that my family felt I was unlovable and rejected me, and I wasn't welcome there. And they actually also ended up suing us so for grandparent rights, and they felt like, or at least my father-in-law on my so my husband's father felt like I had lied about it and I must be crazy. And so he actually, my father-in-law, asked my parents to join this lawsuit. And because I have a history of sexual abuse and I had landed, who else could it be? I had this wave of knowing about 4 years earlier that it had to be my own father. And I didn't have any conscious memories. And I did not want to tell my father that because I absolutely couldn't put two and two together. He's a lovely human being. And so all of this came out and it was just a mess. And what I ended up doing was taking all of those legal papers and taking my letter of excommunication and taking photos of myself with my family and our children and um, love letters and hate letters and birthday cards and ripping them all up and putting them on a canvas and painting over them. And I realized about 4 hours in that I was deconstructing my story and reconstructing myself on canvas. And so it really allowed me to confront whether or not I agreed with them. Was I really unworthy? Was I really valueless? And the answer was no. And I had been avoiding looking under the hood for so many years. But when you don't, I didn't have any choice unless we always have a choice, right? So I could just reject myself and believe in and be incredibly miserable for the rest of time here on earth, or I could address it and deal with it. And I ended up dealing with it and engaging with it through art. And I just found love underneath all of that confusion and hurt. That was it was unilateral, like it was universal. We all felt so misunderstood. Nobody did anything wrong per se. We were doing the best we could. It was a mess.
And you survived it, right? Because it had to be a very difficult time going through that. Not only for you, but I'm sure your husband, your children, everybody. That's a really rough road, not only for the grandparents, but you in the home as well.
Yeah, it was very upsetting and disruptive. And I have found over the years that disruption is so incredibly powerful, and it teaches us who we are underneath all the fear, underneath all the stories, underneath all the ideas that we're not enough, or anything that we learned in our conditioning. And so yeah, now I'm really grateful for it. Then I was 100% the walking dead, as they say. I felt like I was walking around with a gaping hole through my center, but I wasn't, right? Like we think we're fractured and we think we're broken, and we're absolutely not. We're 100% whole already. We've bought into believing that we're not. And creativity helped me discover my wholeness.
So you do soul portraits. So talk to us about what is a soul portrait? What does that look like for somebody that hears that? Because you're not the only person that I've met that does soul portraits. And as artists and creatives, everybody does it a little differently. So share a little bit with the audience. What is a portrait? What is that philosophy? And how do you approach it?
I love that question, and you're absolutely right. There are so many of us out there doing that, doing this work. So for me, a soul portrait really means that I'm removing all of the layers or moving through the layers to access the truth, which I think is the soul wisdom. So the heart space to move from our heart rather than all the conditioning and lessons that we've learned through culture and family and caregivers. Um, so it's the soul is our guide, and what keeps us from listening to it is all of that conditioning and the lived experience. So it's the way I address it is kind of reverse engineering it. So you give me all your materials, or you collect your materials from your life, from your lived experience, from the times that felt important, impactful, meaningful, for better or for worse, that have forged who you are today, who you understand yourself to be. And I'm going to guess that most of that's a misunderstanding, that we misunderstand the truth. And so when people either engage with their materials or they send me their materials, it's put through my own filter, put through a filter of who they are today. It's a little different. So I am confusing you probably because when somebody creates a soul portrait for themselves, they're revisiting their lived experience. They're not reliving it. They're revisiting through the eyes of who they are now. And when you're holding who you have been, it's really hard to be in both places at the same time, unless we kind of like lose ourselves in the memory of them. And to me, that's reliving it. And so there's a real invitation to stay present during this process so that we're able to witness what we've been through rather than relive it. It's a fine line, but meeting our creative self with intention and awareness is crucial to the process. And when people do that, there's just this huge sense of relief and energy starts to move again. So those experiences that we have that have been too big for us to integrate get stuck in our body. And so this process is really a somatic practice similar to breath work and yoga and meditation, but it's really and all of that is creativity, but this is tapping into like a tactile making a piece of artwork and feeling that you have inherent creativity that dwells within all of us, and to tap into that where your wisdom lives.
So, how I am seeing it, so a little bit of my teaching and perspective. We are a soul, but we're also a spirit. The soul carries all the emotions, all the thoughts, all the beliefs, all the experiences, all the exchanges you've had. And if you believe in reincarnation from all lifetimes, it's what creates who you are today.
Yep.
If I was creating a soul portrait as you're talking, I'm thinking, wow, I've been married 5 times, all those divorce papers. I'm thinking of all the college degrees that I got because I was told as growing up that if you go to school and you work hard, that everything in life will be perfect and you'll have a wonderful life. That is not necessarily true. College does not give you a wonderful life. It gives you a lot of debt, but it doesn't do a whole lot more than that. At least from my perspective, right? Any cards, any thoughts, any weddings, any ceremonies, any the losses of my family, I could see that being part because by the time I was 20, they were all on the other side playing pinochle on the other side and having a great time while they left me behind to take care of my own life. Yeah, I'm not bitter or anything, but all those things. You like how I pull all that together? Could
It's
go
exact.
into a soul
Yeah,
portrait, right? Because those
exactly.
of you that are thinking, well, what would I gather? What would
Yeah.
I do? I'm giving you some conceptual ideas of what that might look like for you for that healing process and to do it with a physical thing that you can hold on to versus emotionally or ethically sitting in that energy because you're going to sit in it too. But I look at it as reflection. What was my life about? How did it get me where I am today? What was that journey? I used to say we're here for lessons, and I don't believe it's lessons anymore. I believe it's experiences, which are really different than when we use the word lessons. Lessons to most of us means, well, we were punished, we had to stress. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about what does the experience give you? Where do you grow? Where do you expand? What did you gain? What did you lose from it versus a punishment? Because all of our experiences lead us to who we are, good, bad, indifferent, neutral. That's why we're all so different as we've had different experiences. And how we accept those experiences is totally different too. Some people get stuck and some people are like, nope, moving through it. We're going to get through this, right?
Well,
Everybody's
you're
different.
you're bringing up two really important things. And first of all, exactly right. People come to this work with all kinds of different materials. I had one woman create a whole soul portrait with nail polish because that's what was so powerful in her own lived experience. Um, all of those experiences make us who we are today. And that getting stuck place, like what you're talking about, or pushing through, neither of those, I mean, when people just take their lived experience and think they're throwing it out when they throw out their divorce papers, but they're still carrying the energy of the lived experience in their body, it needs to be witnessed, and witnessed with love, engaged with I'm no longer that person. I'm actually bigger than any experience I ever had. I'm bigger than a marriage. I'm bigger than excommunication letter. I'm bigger, right? Like I'm bigger than being paralyzed. So whatever you're struggling with, it tends to really support that message of I am more than what I have lived through. And I can be proud of everything I've lived through, regardless of if I didn't handle it quote unquote well. Like I can show up and say I did the best I could, which is it's like so incredibly true.
For anybody and everybody, right? We all do the best we can. And if you look back at generations, which is always fascinating to me, When my mother came along, she was a stay-at-home mom. She was able to do everything for me because the children were it. And then I was a single mom with no family. I had to work to feed to put them on the table. So I couldn't do the soccer games and the blah blah and have them do that. And my children, one child grew up understanding that, and the other child was very bitter at the fact that I never did anything for her, even though I worked like crazy to put food on the table. She doesn't see that anymore. So
Yeah.
then when she had children, she made it happen for them. Kudos. I think that's great. We all try to do better than our parents, our
Absolutely.
grandparents.
Yep.
And whatever that perception, that focus is for us, that's where we try to do better in most cases. Hey, I'm going to be better than my mother. I'm going to be better than my father. It's how the generations evolve and grow sometimes.
Yeah.
And for you saying, hey, it stops here,
Mm.
because we carry stuff through generations, abuse, emotional, mental, all of that stuff goes through generations, because I believe, and all the women are gone in my family, but I think they were emotionally abused.
Mm.
I don't have proof of that, but I truly believe from their behaviors, my gut instinct, my intuition, that there was emotional abuse all through their lives. And when it came to me, I'm like, nope, not going to my children. I
Yeah.
was physically abused by my mother, not intentionally. It was just something that happened. But I said, nope, not for my kids. I will not pass that down.
Yeah.
That's done right here,
Yeah.
which is basically what you put is a line in the sand that said, nope, doesn't go past this line.
Yeah.
We're done. I got the experience for everyone, or at least all those behind me, and I'm not pushing that forward to my family, right?
Yeah.
We're able to do some of those things. So having a healthy way to work through those is really important. So talk to us about creativity being a healing process, because I think it is in lots and lots of different ways, and we not everyone understands how healing it is to be creative.
Yeah, it's really easy. We're so conditioned to dismiss creativity. And I want to just say that all of us are creative. Like we just are. It is built into our own system. And I've defined it for people as whatever activity that you enjoy where you lose track of time. And so it can be baking bread, um, planting a garden, movement, dance, music. It can be literally making your coffee or preparing a meal. I even think going for a walk is creative. So I have a very broad definition of creativity. And I want people to realize that when we engage with that, we drop out of our thinking mind and into our heart. And that's the power of it. We connect with ourselves, we connect with our divinity, we connect with our answers that are specifically for us. It's all inside. And it's incredibly powerful to engage with that part of us. And we've forgotten that it exists. It is really easy to dismiss. And I just happen to have a visual creative practice, but that doesn't mean that any other creative practice is less than that. I think whatever it is that you gravitate towards is great.
Well, science has proven, okay, that we have a right and left hemisphere. It's right and left. One side of our hemisphere is very logical. That's where your anxiety and your stress and overworking and all that gets stuck. The other side of your brain is creativity and flow and intuition and daydreaming and all that. You're absolutely right. You can't be in both sides of those brains. It's been scientifically proven you can't do both at the same time. So, if you're an individual that's experiencing anxiety, depression, panic attacks, all those things, remember that's logical side. Get creative. Find a creative lane to get into, because once you do that, it releases all of that you're working in, and you get to come into your heart. So I used to have a very stressful job as a vice president of human resources. I did the corporate thing because I was told that's what I needed to do, is to make money and be professional and all that. It was very stressful. So I got to a point where I'd come home every night and I would color. I
Hmm.
would get out pencils and colored pencils and anything I could find, and I would just sit and color. That simple activity of creativity would melt away all the stress, all the anxiety of the day, and I could go to bed and sleep. I didn't have to have a glass of wine. I didn't have to have a drug. I didn't have to have sleeping pills. Just by being creative and getting myself out of that logical side of the mind that's like running tenfold,
Hmm.
meditation, there's lots of things that are creative, daydreaming, but coloring was something that I really enjoyed. And as we get at adults, we're like, "Oh, we can't play.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
can't do those things." Play is so important for us to be healthy and strong and move forward, because it helps us move through things, whether it's dance and singing, whether it's coloring, whether it's a craft, whether it's painting, whether it's getting out in nature. We need that more than we think, and the older we get, the more we need it, and we put poo that. And so the last week or so I've been gathering stickers. So you're thinking 10 or 12 stickers. No, I have boxes this big, like 20 of them with sorted stickers and all of them that I've been sorting. My husband's been like, "What the world?" I'm like, "You would be surprised how many adults that you set stickers in front of them are like, ooh." And then they get into that creative side, that inner child, that play side. So healthy. So be creative, be childlike, figure out how to play more, because that's really, really important.
Yeah, creativity and play are one and the same. So it's whatever you feel is playing, do that. It's creativity. That is creativity.
And I love how
100%.
you said earlier where you lose track of time, where
Yes.
time just falls away, and you look up and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 2 hours and I thought I just sat down." That's an indication of something that you love, that your inner child's like, "Yes, let's do this." Anytime you can do that, you want to do more of that as much as possible. So talk to us about transformation through healing, because you shared a little bit about your crisis, your things that you've gone through. So, people that are listening that are really in that place of not knowing what to do next, talk to us about transformation through the healing process and how you offer that.
Specifically through soul portraits.
Yeah, yeah.
So, two different ways that I encourage people to engage with the materials of their life or the experiences that they've had. So, I believe that the experiences want to be witnessed and they want to, in order to be integrated, really to allow them to dissolve. It's really important that we witness ourselves and not to necessarily we need support, but another person cannot witness what we've how we've internalized an experience. Only we know what it was like. And so only we can really be the ones to revisit that lived experience. So I ask people to collect the materials that they feel are are representative of the experiences that have gotten stuck. So just like what you were talking about, divorce papers and whatever else, all the photographs of your family, and play with them. So when you rip those things up, and you don't have to rip up originals because that gets people sometimes upset, and other people are so excited to destroy and rip up things. It depends on what the energy is. So great. Follow that energy, like how it makes you feel. That is exactly what becomes healing about it. Because when you rip something up, you're taking your power back. So if it's something that is upsetting to you and you want it to release or be dissolved, it's so powerful to simply rip it up. We have no idea until you try it. It feels so good. And you cannot get it wrong. There's no right way to do it. So whatever materials you're drawn to about reflecting, I liked your word, what your life has been about and how you've become who you are today or who you think you are, because you're so much more, then follow it. Just follow your intuition. That's your soul speaking to you, that's spirit speaking to you. Get the materials that you feel called to pick up and engage with them. You'll know which ones you want to rip up. You'll know which ones that you don't want to rip up and you want to make a copy or preserve it in some way. And you put it down on a canvas or cardboard or piece of paper, and you get just a collection of all of the different versions of who you've been. And it's really about honoring all of those different versions of self and acceptance. So acceptance plays such a huge role in healing, that we accept all of the layers of who we are, not just the pretty ones, not just the ones we're proud of, but all of them. And and that's what our I believe that's what our system is asking for, is acceptance. And within acceptance, there's so much love. And so it's walking towards love. The more you accept about yourself, the more you can love yourself. The more you love yourself, the more you open yourself up to all the good things. And so, this process that I teach and also do for others is really about collecting and honoring the past, anchoring in who you are now, and inviting the highest version of yourself that you want to step into for the future. So it's all three in one piece, and the in the middle section of the process, it can get kind of chaotic, but all throughout there's a grounding. I am here now. Who am I now? Knowing that the process is about releasing and letting go. Acceptance, releasing, letting go. To make room for who you really are, because we get so full of lived experience that's stuck that there's no more room for anything new. And it's what keeps us on repeat in loops and patterns that really no longer serve us. And so wherever those patterns are that no longer serve you, I'm like, what are the experiences attached to those patterns and loops that you learned to stay in, whether it's going to college because you heard that a degree makes you acceptable and worthy and all of those things, and life is happy after that. There is no, right? There's no finish line. It's just, who are you evolving into and what can you let go of so that you can become the absolute best version of yourself and live in flow. So I believe that the more we engage with our creativity and we don't let anything get stuck in us, the happier and lighter we become. So that's the soul portrait process in a nutshell. And yeah.
I love that. I love that. Because what most people don't understand is you have to release and let go to be able to receive new things. And so, if you're constantly reliving your life over and over again in the same, it means that there are things that you need to let go of in order to call in new things into your life. The other thing I was thinking of when you talked was, there's so many people out there that have taken on a job or a career based on that's what the family always did.
Yeah.
And even though they knew in their heart that was not their lane, they did it anyways because that was the expected place that you're supposed to go. This would be an amazing process to go, nope, I'm letting all that go to step into what I really wanted to do in this lifetime, career wise, relationship wise, whatever that is, belief wise. You might have been raised in a belief that was didn't feel right to you, or values that didn't feel right, and to be able to release all of that and bring in what truly is yourself. What a powerful exercise. When we started today, you talked about a new offering that you're working on too. So I know on the website, because I looked today, she can create your portrait for you, or she can send you a kit for you to do it with step by step. So I saw that. What a process if you want to make it yourself or you need some help. She offers both of those. but talk to us about your other offering that you're working on to offer to people.
So I wanted to make it more accessible. There are people who are super busy and they're like, I want this, but I don't have time. And I want a really personalized. So the soul portrait commissions can be really, really large, but with that comes a high ticket price. And so I wanted it to be accessible. And so I am making mini ones for people who send me just one experience that had a big impact on them that they want somebody else to witness. So oftentimes, if there are really painful experiences and they just want to dip a pinky toe in where they don't want to handle it, but they want somebody else to hold the energy of it for them, that's a great way to do a mini soul portrait. So a lot of people who do those, and it doesn't always have to be dark. So somebody who lost their child to suicide, they send me all the documents that are around that child, and or lost babies in stillbirth or miscarriage, things like that, that they're having trouble working with, but really want a way to honor the experience and move through it. And so or something that's really holding them back, and people feel like no one will accept this about me. And I call it send me your ugly and I'll show you your beauty. So they're many. They start at, I think, a pretty reasonable price. And if people are interested in that, they can reach out to me, and I'd be happy to send them information. And I have a digital course now too, and that's also a lower price point, and people can have access to it, and they can collect their own materials. It's just glue and acrylic paint and water, and you can make it on anything. And so often people don't need a kit anymore. They just want to use the materials that they have around their house. They can use crayons or Sharpies or charcoal and China markers, like whatever people are drawn to is what I say, go for it. So it's just a really simple course or commission. And people love it to send me if they want a huge art piece in their house and they want to send me their children's Christmas lists or drawings from the refrigerator and medical texts that they are working on and somebody else's favorite family recipes, and want something that's free and moving and abstract, but is their story, their family at the moment that captures them. It's very personal, and I love it. I think the soul portraits are so fun to make, whether you're moving through something that's really painful or celebrating 50 years of marriage. So, or graduation or a new baby or marriage. Yeah.
I love it. I love this concept of taking copies or the originals and really creating something beautiful. We have her website along the bottom of the video if you're watching this, or we will have it in all the descriptions where you can connect and really connect and find out more. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me this morning.
Yeah, thanks, Violet. It's such a pleasure.
It has been an amazing journey and being able to talk to her. Everybody that's listening, I want to wish you a sacred magical, because as people come on as guests, they're sharing their magic of living, their sacredness of who they are. And I just love the stories. And so if you've enjoyed this episode, I would encourage you to listen to some of the others. Please like, comment, and follow us on whatever is your favorite channel. We hope to see you back soon with Sacred Magic, and have a sacred and magical week. Remember, you are a divine being. So have an amazing week, and thanks so much for listening and watching.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.